Okay, there we go. Oh, wait. Whoa, jeez. Loud. Loud! Hi! My model's, motions might be a little bit off here and there. I don't know why everything sounds louder. Oh, come on, SMG music display. You know how this works. Okay, so first... allegedly connected. You're connected. And you're connected. Okay, sweet. Art stream. Because my brain is empty. Do I know what I'm gonna draw yet? Not really. Probably gonna continue working on some of these weird, freaky... What the fuck is going on? It's because Discord's popping up. I wanted to drop a notification in a friend server, that's why. I don't know what I'm gonna draw tonight. Probably fiddle with these works in progress that I just kind of have. I'm just kind of fuck around. Hi. Hello. I'm drawing some kind of fucking deer thing. I scribbled it very quickly one day. I think it might have been... Yeah, I was in college. I was just, like, making up shit as I went along. And this came out. And I think it looks good. And I am going to continue to elaborate on it. Beep, bop, 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 boop, bop, bada, beep. Thank you all for your patience while I relentlessly fuck around and miss my own miss my own streams and all that good shit. I just got done watching a 2-hour video essay about Wreck-It Ralph because I fill my brain with random nonsense and enjoy myself while I'm at it. My Labor Day was alright. I mean, it doesn't really mean anything to me right now, because no job, unfortunately. I don't like that color. I'm gonna make it more orange. Lighter. Yeah, that's more like it. It's just kind of the same old for me. I might split and draw some Kirby fan art. I don't actually know what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna kind of see what happens as I go along. Because we're just kind of chilling tonight. Good news, your bank situation! Oh yeah, you had a fucking horrendous, awful bank scenario, but you got your shit back. That's great. That is wonderful to hear. Yeah, I can imagine that was very nerve-wracking in the moment. It's been months, right? I'm glad that's resolved, because that is scary and unpleasant. Ba-da-da. Oh. Yeah, I can imagine. That shit's stressful as hell. Hopefully things will start looking up. In the coming weeks for you. I actually think I'm gonna start by erasing a little bit. Yeah, hopefully you can just generally start to mentally work off the stress and strain of all that bullshit happening all at once. Ooh, and another vacation. That's good, that's good. Yeah, I'm glad I could serve as a source of comfort in trying times. Because that sucked. I'm gonna grab my airbrush. Oh yeah. It's wild how just, like, some of the most basic blurring and shading can make a simple metal texture look really nice. See you then. Airbrush again. I found some allies in Minecraft while I was playing offline. But then I left them near my sugar farm for a bit. And then when I came back, they were gone. Even though I had set up a note block for them. And I looked up the problem, and apparently a lot of people have that issue too. They just kind of disappear sometimes. Which is mildly infuriating. Because they are a relatively rare mob. So, probably gonna have to deal with that notion at some point in the future. Actually, the dark gold brown shade is a little too strong on one side. Welcome back. Yeah, I had it right the first time when it was way slimmer on the other side. I think I can improve that by going back over it with the airbrush. As an eraser. I'm tired of listening to the title screen theme. That's more like it. Whoops. This track is so good. Triple Deluxe HD for the future. That would be awesome. And it doesn't really use much in the way of, like, the 3DS touchscreen for its mechanics. So you could probably pretty easily get away with it on the Switch, because the main, like, gimmicks it uses are, gyro and the, front and back level structure. The two-layer 2D platforming. I also want to see what they're gonna do next with the Forgotten Land engine. Like, where could they possibly go from here? I wanna see what they're cooking. How? What are you cooking? Ugh, yeah. Instant bounce light, no effort. I am marginally Minecrafted out. I beat the game. I did some shit. I explored some structures. My sessions are becoming shorter and shorter because I don't really know what else to do. That's my idea, to go full Mario Paint-ass nonsense and start making shit with, like, note blocks. And, pixel art for, pixel art using locked maps. But, I don't feel like that quite yet. Is this commission? Nope. It is... I was thinking about making an adoptable, because I don't really know what to do with the character design. I kind of just cut through the lines together, and I'm just sort of drawing it for the sake of drawing it, because I think it's a cool little critter. Looks like a Digimon. I mean... Oh, it's probably because of the eyes. It's got that Renamon look to it a little bit. Easy smash, and by that you mean you could own them 1v1. They do not stand a chance against a skilled Ganondorf player. this way. God, it looks so nice when you just zoom out. I'm normally not really good at metal textures, but this one little trick has been very helpful. And I like it. Did I get it right? Yes. Hi, welcome back, Nil. We're just kind of hanging out tonight. Zoom in. Gotta brute force it a little more. Brute forcing it again. What am I doing? I'm drawing! I'm making a funny little guy that has been sitting and languishing as a work in progress, as an unfinished sketch for God knows how long. So I put together the lines off stream, and now I'm giving him some colors! Giving him funky little golden markings. Probably stand to be slightly louder. what can I say? I like weird, mildly spooky, character designs. It is, in fact, kind of freaky looking. And that's fun, and I like it. I think I'm gonna make it extremely unclear whether these are eyes or not. Ah, I had the wrong tool selected. What you doing? I am drawing. Also, my it was a little bit Hollow Knight. Slightly Radiance vibed. My avatar might be covering chat a little more than usual because it unloaded in the software I uses, so I reloaded it, and I am not super certain if it is back to where it used to be. So I might be slightly bigger than normal on screen. Why are you over there? I hope so too. I also just need to be better at advertising myself, honestly. I do commissions. They are linked with my Ko-fi, as many things are. With the idea being, ooh, you can support me here, and like once you get there you can decide how you want to support me. There's the monthly membership, there is single donations, and then there's also a tab for commissions, and I hope to open a shop there eventually, but I have to actually make shit to put in there first, and also like figure out where in the world I should be able to ship to, because I have never done like the most e-commerce I have ever done is selling shit to people on eBay, and that has almost pretty much universally been, to other people in the United States. I worked out, in the Spectrope server, I worked out a private sale between me and another guy, and I shipped that to Australia, so that was an interesting, I got to learn my way around the customs forms a little bit, but I need a little more experience in that department before I can get a little too swifty, and I was like, I have to figure out, like, business mail and shit and how that all works. And then, once I have it figured out and, like, know how USPS business mail works and shit, maybe I can open it up to international markets. But first I have to decide on, like, what the hell kind of stickers I want to sell. So, I'm thinking about a couple bug designs. I just need to fucking doodle in my sketchbook and just come up with funny little guys. I might even draw a funny little guy tonight. Who knows? Hydrate or dihydrate. Gonna name some layers real quick. Learn to draw that so I can bring them to life. So I'm not terribly good at directing people to resources, but I can assure you that there are loads of great, like, how to get started drawing resources out there. Artists love making tutorials for each other. Is this a good shadow? Oh, I can't tell. That's not the right, bit lighter than that. Because the way I got good at drawing was, I drew a lot as a little kid, and then I just never stopped. I doodled relentlessly in class, from the instant I entered kindergarten all the way up through college, so, yeah. Life. And that's kind of why I'm not sure if I have any, like, halfway decent advice to give to people who aren't already at least some degree of artists, even if they're not, like, super talented. I could give pointers on how to do it, and I know that it's possible to start. I'm just not gonna be very good at giving you pointers on how to start, because I started as a very small child and never stopped, so I don't have experience with, being not an artist as an adult, because it's just something I always have been. But it's possible. You can start from pretty much nothing, and, like, really, a lot of the solution is to just constantly do it. Do it, like, once a day if you can bring yourself to do it. Do it scared, do it poorly, embrace cringe, draw what you like so that you enjoy the process, and it'll continue to be a great excuse to, like, keep you practicing. And also references. References are super helpful. Once, like, getting into the habit of drawing is great. If you want to get good fast, you need to train, like, it's sort of more of like a brain training kind of thing, where you have to train your eye to see shapes. Like, you have to, like, you know how, like, artists will, like, close one eye and do that, like, square with the fingers? They're literally, breaking the shapes down through that square in their head in order to better compose the piece. Like, that shit is no joke. You can... So, like, if you can just, like... It's easy to resolve things and, like, into objects in your vision, because that's what your eyes are supposed to do. You can draw what's in your brain starting out, so you have to be accepting of tracing and referencing, and people are still about tracing. Rightfully so. Look for reference materials. There are a lot of reference materials. Trace over photographs. Always credit the sources of your references, when relevant. Great stock image, so I can recommend, like, stock image sites. If you want to, like, just practice drawing shit, like, look for Creative Commons shit and, like, public domain old master stuff. One of the things that really helped me, really, like, turbocharge my art skill was in high school. In high school art class, we did figure drawing, where we had an actual live model come and sit on the table in various poses. Gesture drawing. So gesture drawing is picking up poses really, really damn fast, so you can get an idea of the overall big picture proportions of the human body. And we copied old masters. Like, we took, like, old public domain artwork. I think it was specifically, like, a sketching project. So people were doing it in charcoal, graphite, and there's this material called Conte, which is, like, a brown color, and it's a similar texture. It's like a brown chalk, but it is harder than charcoal, so it has kind of a different feel to it. And I did mine in that, and it actually turned out pretty good, because, like, you start to look at the shapes of what it is. I used to draw all the time, but then my passion fizzled out. That's how they get you. That's how they get you. It's never too late to start again. And yeah, the best way to learn is to reignite that spark and, like, figure out, like, that's why I say draw what you like, embrace cringe, because shit that makes brain go burr is inevitably going to be the stuff that keeps you at it. It makes you want to do more of it. And then you will see yourself oh, I'm on the wrong layer. Oops. It keeps you at it, and wrong thing. And it makes sure, like, that you're enjoying, like, if you do those kinds of things to make sure you enjoy the process, then it's not going to be like pulling teeth to practice. It's why I stopped taking piano lessons when I was a little kid, because I just could not be asked to practice. I didn't care enough. I'd like to start relearning, because the one thing I did care enough to do was to, like, fiddle around in GarageBand. And now that I have those kinds of skills, I have that sort of, like, whole musical arrangement composition skill set, I feel like I would be more invested in actually doing shit with keyboard in the long run, especially since the keyboard we have in the house is a MIDI keyboard that it could hypothetically hook up to a laptop and, like, plink notes down directly into Logic. So, I just haven't gotten around to it. There are many things I haven't gotten around to, and that is the story of my life. I always forget to get around to all sorts of things. And you just kind of have to split it down into minuscule chunks and keep going. One of these days I'll eventually get around to the reigniting the spark part of relearning keyboard. I think I need my life to, like, start going places first before I feel like I can start self-actualizing like that in the same way. Whoa, store of Texas toast. No, stop it. It's my fault for seeing that comment and was like, oh no, I'm putting that in the stream. Anyway, yeah, creativity is hard, self-actualizing is hard. Keep at it because it's so fucking worth it. And even if you end up with a different creative hobby entirely down the line, that'll still be worth it. He made a new song for Undertale Yellow. Oh boy. Well, good for them. Anyway, yeah, one of the reasons I managed to keep drawing all throughout my childhood was, I was drawing all the fucking dudes I liked. I was roughly copying I was sight copying the official art of my favorite characters and shit. And drawing little... So, okay, this is bonkers. So I was in the gifted class in the 5th grade, right? And we, the quote-unquote gifted kids at that school, in that system, had a specific teacher, and we were all in the same class together. And so, you know what happens when you put a bunch of gifted kids together. It's usually the, like, the kind of, like, slightly off-kilter, like, it's the smart kids, but also, like, the kind of the weird nerdy kids. Like, one of those cool things about that class is that, it was the class where every year we would write, that specific class under that teacher would write and put on a whole ass play. And that kind of shit, so... That class, me and the other students just, like... Okay, so there's a specific Geico commercial. And I promise this is going somewhere. There's a specific Geico commercial where it uses the song, I always feel like somebody's watching me. And it's a stack of money with like 2 little plastic googly eyes on it. And we were fucking obsessed with that. We called him the Money Man. He like became a whole ass character in like the lore of our classroom. Because one of the things we had was whenever we had tests and stuff, we were like, oh, you have to have a folder. You know those, like, paper, folded paper, like, boxes that they would put up around your desk so you couldn't cheat off of other people. We just had, like, manila file folders in that particular class, and, one of the things we did would customize the shit out of them. So mine was covered top to bottom in all sorts of wacky little doodles. Very silly shit, and also because it was 5th grade and I was 11, and it was like 2000, somewhere between 2007 and 2009, I was having my first exposure to memes, because I was on the internet, and watching a whole lot of YouTube poops, and, like, hearing about all of the memes we imported from 4chan. It was a weird time on the internet. Anyway, I didn't actually go on 4chan, though, because I knew there was weird shit on there, and I was a 5th grader. Anyway, so the Money Man. The Money Man from the Geico commercial. We turned him into a currency? And so we would just draw up this shit on index cards and, like, cut out tiny, like, 1 square centimeter little tiny drawings of the Money Man. And those would be, like, currency that would be keep in these little, card cases. Like, index card boxes. And, I remember doing, like, a couple commissions for other kids in the class for those little things, because it was a game we were playing, basically. It was like a weird classroom subculture thing we had developed. And that kind of stuff, being in that environment, encouraged me to continue to draw, because I was always drawing and doodling, and then people would, like, look over my shoulder and go, damn, that looks pretty cool. I also had this thing called Scrapbox, where I would, like, you know, all those, like, elementary school-age assignments that are, like, they take, like, cut and paste assignments, It's where you cut up pieces of paper and glue them to other shit. I would take the scraps of that and turn them into these weird little creature sculptures, and I called them scrap bots, and they had their own whole little world to them. I'm still very fond of them. I think I still have a collection of them in a box somewhere. And so, I'm not sure if I developed a reputation that was any, like, that was markedly different from the rest of the class, but people knew I was, like, the art person. And I think there were a couple people who were also artsy like me and, doing shit in art classes. You know how it is. Anyway, that provides some context to how kind of wacky and wild, how wacky and wild it was. Also, I didn't have, I mean, I was starting to get on the internet at that age, and I was starting to see, like, art that was, like, incredibly out of my skill range, but also I just liked seeing it. It was just fun to look at, so it didn't really discourage me from drawing so much as, wow, cool thing I can look at! Because as I grew up and kept taking art classes, one of the things we would do was, like, a lot of art classes would have a little bit of art history to them. So you'd go on, like, field trips to museums and shit. And in high school, in my high school art class, that particular class took yearly trips to the National Gallery in DC. And we also have a ton of galleries in our hometown, and the high school I went to was downtown. So we would just walk over to some art galleries and see some shit. It was really cool. And it was neat seeing all the shit, and it's sort of... I started picking up digital art in high school because I had my lunatic bonkers nonsense taste of the internet through my... Well, mainly through our, like, home desktop, because a lot of shit was blocked on our school computers, but we had, like, these big, chunky, cheapo Dells in middle school. And they came with Photoshop licenses, and Microsoft Office licenses, and I wrote literally tens of thousands of words worth of fanfiction on those machines. And it was so... I did not know what to do with myself. When the high school I went to did not have school computers. So I bothered my parents for my very own laptop, and the rest is history. And now I am insufferable. Yeah, I got that, and then I got a tablet for my birthday one year. We got a refurbished Wacom. I don't know how they fucking pronounce it. I think it's a Japanese company, so you'd think it'd be Wacom, but I've heard it pronounced other ways, so... Wacom is kind of like the Apple of the tablets world, and while I have historically also been an Apple baby, you know how Apple has been with hardware, having a pretty good reputation initially, but now charging more and more for, kind of arbitrary, weird decisions, and Wacom has a little bit of a reputation for drivers being a little bit finicky, and by a little bit, I mean a lot of it finicky. They can be. Mine work. They've had their finicky moments. They've earned that reputation a little bit, but like 90% of the time, it just works. And I like them. I'm sticking with them. I'm sticking mostly with used products of theirs, so I don't fucking destroy my wallet. But, the main thing of theirs that I like is the fact that, the pen isn't its own separate device. I mean, it is. It has a circuit board inside of it, and it has buttons on it. I remember just drawing a Star Wars battle scene in art class, and the teachers told my parents to make me stop me, because apparently too violent. Oh no! See, that's the kind of thing that can kill the artistic spirit in young kids. Especially because, like, teenagers are just gonna draw fucked up shit. Like, I was creating and consuming some fairly violent shit, as early as probably 7th-ish grade. Late 6th grade, early 7th grade. And, like... But also, like, I had a conception of rating systems and such, so I just wouldn't, make a huge deal out of it. I mean, I also had, like, undiagnosed mental health issues, so the depression and anxiety would slowly get to me, and then I started doing some pretty gnarly, vent art. And, there were a couple times in high school, where I did, like, experimental shit with, not, like, out of a venti reason, but, like, just kind of, like, fucking around with, like, body horror and gore a little bit, just to sort of, like, test my understanding of, like, textures and shit. Like, how disgusting, wet, and beady can I make this? But I technically have some of those skills left to leverage. I just need to... Well, I need to find an excuse. Do I want to erase that into a single block, or do I like that? I feel like the fact that it turns into this means I'm gonna wanna... Do I want to texture this fur any further? Oh! Wrong color. That's a good shape. Those are good shapes. YouTube, play my music. Play my music, boy! My boy. Oh. Yeah, I think that sort of fluffs up the shadows enough, at least on that side. I think this might be... Eventually it has to be like that. I could do it like... Ooh, also wrong color. Like that, a little bit. I am going to create a draft layer for that, so that I can do this, and then erase, but not touch the stuff that I have decided is complete. Actually, I'm gonna just draw in big blocks. The shadow over here. Also, one of the reasons it's so hard to start drawing as an adult is because you know what good art looks like, and so, like, you feel embarrassed when you're not good at it. But also, you don't have to show anyone. You can just grab a sketchbook, doodle shit in it, and, like, you don't have to post everything you do. You can draw shit that kinda sucks, and you kind of always will, no matter what your skill level is, because that's, like, kinda sucking is also kind of the part of, like, the beginning of every piece. And then you just decide whether you want to move on to the next one, or refine it until it doesn't suck. To your specifications, I might add. You have to decide when it's done, you have to decide with how much suck you're okay with, and one of the big things that can get into people's heads about being an artist and making art is people's ability to critique art will grow at different rates than their actual skill at making it. It's the taste-skill gap, I think is what we call it. That's the term that's been flying around. So you will make something that you think sucks and be discouraged by it. You must not be discouraged by it. I've got 10,000 bad drawings in you, so it's best to get them out now. Exactly. It's like, it's the same thing as video games. You cannot beat yourself up about being bad at a video game that you literally just started playing. Drawing's the same. Any skill is the same. Now, if you try something new and you find yourself good at it, you may have developed a skill already that is transferable. Like, I'm interested in getting into miniatures, like painting minis soon. I've got some, unclipped Warhammer dudes that I got off eBay, and, a box of paints ready to go, because I painted some. I painted them Space Marine at a convention, and had a lot of fun. And the reason it looked so good for my first time is because I'm already a 2D artist, and I've also done 3D modeling, so I'm familiar with how colors can go onto a 3D object in a digital space. And so those skills were transferable. Likewise, my skill with video games is transferable between genres, and not exactly between genres. It transfers between games of the same genre, and then when games blend genres, that can act as a bridge between different game genres. And sometimes you just have to immediately jump out of your comfort zone and try something completely different that you've never touched before. Like, I got into more, like, action-y games in late high school, early college, when I got into Bayonetta and Monster Hunter, because I liked the character designs. I just thought they looked cool. And I was like, wow, that looks really cool. I want to participate in that. And I did, and I was bad at it, and I enjoyed it and slowly got better at it. And now I enjoy both character action games and whatever the fuck Monster Hunter is. A friend of mine tried to evangelize Dark Souls to me a long time ago, and honestly, I don't think I was ready for it. And honestly, on top of that, I think the only Souls game I would really even care about is Bloodborne, and that's trapped on the PS4 copy of, I do not have a PS4, so, I am probably not going to touch Bloodborne until either a PC port or until they figure out how to emulate the PS4. But, like, I am fond of that, like, gross, kind of Lovecrafty overall aesthetic, so Bloodborne could be a good introduction to Souls-likes, and I've also watched people play it before. But, like, this thing, and also, when that one friend was doing, the idea is, we would each try to take down Udex Gundyr in Dark Souls 3, and every time we died, we would switch out. And it was kind of a fun little bit, but also I was doing something else at the time. I was either drawing or playing Minecraft, and I was just super not into it, like, socially. I liked hanging out with my friends, and that was great, and it was fun seeing Gundyr explode into a giant serpent made of tar, but I don't think I was just ready to receive Dark Souls into my life at that time. But I do have a friend who's getting into it. who got into gaming as a whole pretty late. And, he really seemed to like it. I might have to revisit the Souls-like someday. Who knows? I also love me a good monster designer. I don't own the World Waker for Wind Waker. I don't even know how to super swim, and I do not care to learn. And also, one of the reasons I like to get back into playing keyboard and playing an instrument is that I now have transferable skills from digital music production, whereas before I was a 12-year-old child. I was probably more like 10 or 11. And I just did not have the practice in me. I too love me a good monster design, as evidenced by the fact that I am streaming myself designing a monster. Nothing quite as fun as a good old-fashioned creature. I like drawing that thing. I mean, we do respect monster smooching on this channel, but at the same time, I also just like creature design as a field. Which is probably why those wires got crossed in the first place. I think sticking to my guns with how simple the shading, the shapes, and the markings are was the right choice. I think this is a very beauty and simplicity kind of design. The stripes might be a little hard to replicate for whoever does end up with this design, because they are irregularly shaped, but that is up for whoever decides they want this design. So Also save the design for a project that you will never finish. Yeah, but I also have a whole bunch of other projects. Like, all of those projects that I haven't finished, like, have specific themes and vibes, and this sort of creature doesn't feel like it would fit into any of them, you know? I don't feel like making up yet another concept just to have a place to put a character that's kinda neat. Smooth that out, actually. Are we listening to Mr. Krabs' walking sounds for 10 hours, I think I would go actually insane. If that is what we were listening to. Yeah! Excuse me. Maybe I do want it to look like that after all. I might skip into some of the music that's actually from the remake and not just from the original game. Or cool shit, like Grand Doomer's theme. Think you enjoyed Magalore Epilogue over the main campaign? Dude. Magalore got me fucked up for a whole month after finishing that game. No thoughts, only Egg Wizard. Diamond shape. Except I'm gonna make the actual shape a little less. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, it did throw me for a headcanon loop. I had to, reorient some things in there. I got it working, though. Emerged from the flames with a new fanfic idea, which adds on to my ever-growing list of works in progress, but... we stay silly. We stay silly here on youtube.com/channel/SoxySexisToast. I don't like that very much, actually. Let's be more like... yes. Megalore campaign felt like a fanfic/fan service. Yes, exactly. But also, so has... it feels like it fit the tone of all of the previous... I mean, that's probably why it drove me so fucking insane, because I've been in that sauce, on that grind for pretty much half my life. Well, Magalore confirmed the spin-off games are canon in the other dimensions. Why couldn't the Zerxverse be? Oh, the idea is that my personal headcanon is supposed to be like an explanation or like an expanded universe version of the main universe. So, like, but also everyone's headcanons are AUs from everyone else's, so that's just kind of how it plays out. But also I, like, operate on the grand cosmology of it all, so... alternate timeline from the actual main canon might not necessarily work out, because the way the story is told, my headcanon is supposed to, like, sit in the spot where the main canon is. And you just acknowledge that that's my take on the plot, on the story, on the events and the history of it all. And if you want something else, you can go to a different author about it. Of course, it only really counts once I actually start publishing anything about it. Oops. Yeah. That looks nice. Erase that, see how it looks. I'm not sure how I feel about Clash Magalore also being the main Magalore. It's a lot. It's a lot to deal with, it's a lot to think about. I think they've always hinted that to be the case. At least in, like, developer interviews. But also, you could just assume that it was, like, it was non-canon. And for me, or you could put it anywhere in Magalore's timeline. So you could put it, like, all the way after Star Allies if you wanted to. But this both, like, this, like, directly places it after the events of, Return to Dreamland. Which means Magalore spent time alone, without the Lore Star Cutter, in the Clashverse, and he wasn't just, like, a dimension-hopping traveler deciding to settle down in an alternate universe temporarily so he could, play RPG Merchant. I think this is good enough for shading for the time being. What kind of smoke brushes do I have? What is that? Did you smoke plumes? I don't actually know from what... I don't know from whence you came. What brush are you supposed to be? Because you are not... You are missing your texture. Where's this? I did have these. I did cloud texture and then... No, that looks more like a sponge. So does that. What? No! I like that brush! Where did its texture go? No! Where did I get that brush from and why didn't it transfer over? No! That might require some doohickying. Give me just a moment. I'm gonna close the software for just a moment. And we're just gonna dance around while this does its thing. This is kind of oddly placed. Can I that lock it vertically? No, it does not. Worried Kirby will go all out multiverse and end up muddying the story sort of like the Marvel and DC Comics did. That is fair. I would hope they would keep the alternate universe nonsense. I mean, so they acknowledged that the main story shit... What am I doing? I'm clicking weird choices of buttons. They acknowledged that the main story shit... We didn't really... spin-offs seem to, main story is main story, but there are side modes, and they've acknowledged that side modes are, like, what-if scenarios and alternate, like, side canons. And side canons are always fun for me as a headcanon builder, because that means I can go and just kind of it's like a buffet. I can go and grab things to my heart's content. To me, side canon or dubiously canon is optional canon, which means I can grab it and take it for myself if I so please. I really should. I want to believe that the multiverse shit is going to stay strictly I'm not gonna restore app settings. Not right now. We're not gonna do that on stream. I can deal with the shenanigans later. Multiverse shit, I think, should be limited to whatever the fuck Magalore's up to, because he's already an interdimensional traveler. And who else was I thinking about? Like, keep it limited to the spin-offs. Keep it limited to Magalore because he does that kind of shit. Who else did I have in mind? I completely brain farted this train of thought. I really hope they just, like, keep the main focus on, like, the main core story and leave the all-out multiverse bullshit to the fandom. And just because, like, yeah, muddying the story. And I do like it when Kirby games are, like, mostly self-contained, but contain references to others for, like, deep lore purposes, so that the lore stuff is mostly pushed to the background, and that the main plot is the main plot for its own sake, and if fans want to connect the dots, they may. But yeah, one of the reasons I'm not a huge fan of comic books is because of, like, the shenanigans they get up to. Like, it's difficult to break into. Like, where do you even start, right? No, my cloud brushes, my beloved cloud brushes. I guess we're stuck with you. What else do we have? This sand cloud brush, which is kind of nice. You are that. You're like a cute pattern of cumulonimbus clouds. You're fucked up. You're not as fucked up, but also still not what I'm looking for, unfortunately. I want to be able to do, like, this. Okay, I'm gonna see what's up with this. Brush tip. Okay, so I think the trick with this is gonna be start where you want it to end, which isn't fun. That's not a fun way to do it. increase the brush size. Whoa. That's a little bit much, actually. I can't expect Kirby to go, like, full Marvel DC multiverse bullshit, because fundamentally, foundationally, to an extent, like, Kirby's still designed to be a kid's game, the kind of game that anyone can play. Like, accessibility is, like, part of the ethos. And I think they're still aware of that. There's, like, cool shit for adults to find if they choose to play it, but it should still be accessible to kids. So I'm of the opinion that if they go full multiverse, they'll kind of lose that, and that might lose a little bit of the essence of the series. And I don't think they would want that. So I think they're going to avoid that for now, and keep any multiverse implications to the background. The way I've rationalized it in my headcanon is that there is a multiverse, but it's not really relevant to, like, the arc of the story. Because I've already got multiverse bullshit going on in my Pokemon headcanon. I don't need to fucking expand that out to my Kirby headcanon. That's a mess. It messes with the stakes. You have to have stakes in order for plot to matter. And I want my plots to matter because I make those. Even if I am using ingredients that I did not make myself. I have a grand old time baking cookies, but I don't make my own flour. I buy it from the store. I'm gonna blur this, like, into unrecognizability. What is this? Yeah, this can just... If this is gonna be in the background, then I can just... And so the way I have it worked out is that there's, like, a core timeline. There's a main time... Like, there's multiverse, but, like, there's a main timeline where where, like, the shit of cosmic importance is happening because of interference of, like, weird elder gods and shit. And it is precisely because of them doing that shit that the main timeline matters. And, like, the alternate universe shit with, like, it's more like a traditional alternate universe where, like, one change creates new forks in the timeline. But there's also a system where totally new timelines can exist in these weird little bubble universes created by a cosmic cataclysm, which results in things like Super Kirby Clash that could never have developed naturally with the whole history of the universe that I have going on. And so there is a core timeline for, like, the main Kirby shit, and then there's, like, sideline variants of that, and cosmic bullshit going on. There are other universes off doing their own thing that are unaffected by the fucking that is going on with the Kirbyverse. Notably, of course, the Metroid universe. Because I am canonizing Samus's appearance in Dreamland 3. Because I want to, and because I can. Like, who's gonna stop me? Nintendo? Pretty sure Pokemon Uranium still has, like, GTS support. I found a subreddit for it at some point. For you to still install it, even though the devs themselves couldn't actually sell it to you. Well, they're never gonna sell it. You don't sell fan games without getting exploded by the internet immediately. Mostly Nintendo. But, yeah, that's... Yeah. My brain is slime. Samus is, like... I don't feel like I should be working on, like, a proper Metroid headcanon until I actually play some goddamn Metroid games, which I will, eventually. But, that is going to come later. it is going, and at most, there's going to be some, like, very, how did I get to Pokemon Uranium? I mentioned something about being split. Oh, I was saying, who's gonna stop me? Nintendo? They can't even stop. Well, they did DMCA Pokemon Uranium, but they did come back up and community reformed. What I'm saying is that Nintendo has no power over me. It cannot stop me. I am putting Samus into Kirby because I can. It's a thing I can do because I can. What are you gonna do? Sue me? I buy your video games, fucker. You're already taking my money. I did, like, skim over it very fast, so I wouldn't blame you for missing it. Do I want this? I think I might want this smoke to be white. Right now, it's the same shade of gray as the shading is. But, Samus isn't going to have any involvement. She's going to have, like, a cameo role in the same vein as her cameo in Dreamland 3. It's mostly going to be a novelty that, that they share a multiverse, and that I'm gonna have some Magolor have to do some planeswalking in order to get home from the Clash universe after a point. And then, like, he's gonna bump into a bunch of shit along the way, and I think it'd be funny if he, like, took a wrong turn and ended up just floating in space in a universe where magic wasn't as strong. And, like, the lore had to really, really turn her gears in order to get the fuck out of there. And in the meantime, he gets fucking hailed by Samus's spaceship, and she's like, what the fuck are you doing out here? And he's like, I'm lost, sorry. And they have a cute little chat, and it's like a single chapter of a single fanfic, and then he goes home. And then, bajillions of years later, after the universe is blown up, and everyone is dead, and everyone has entered the afterlife, and after Kirby comes up, Kirby, like, goes on an adventure out into the afterlife's abyss and goes so far that he goes beyond the copy of his universe and ends up in someone else's who is unconnected to his multiverse, and meets Mario and founds Super Smash Bros. Way down the line, Magolor will bump into Samus again and it was like, wait, what the fuck, I know you? Storytelling possibilities. Hi, I'm ranting about my nonsensical headcanon. It's late. It will all make sense once I have written several novels worth of fanfiction. I have to study Metroid lore so you can make sure they don't contradict with your lore. Yes, but that's also why I'm not really including Samus as a major player in my Kirby headcanon. And I don't think, Metroid has, like, its own, like, canonical creation myths or anything. And I have this whole thing where, like, all the various, faiths and cults and shit in the Kirbyverse all get, like, something right, but also miss key details in other places. Do you know Undertale? I do know Undertale. Speaking we're gonna talk about Undertale headcanons. Man, that fandom is packed to the gills with, with AUs and shit. People went absolutely ham on that game. Has some creation myths, but I heard something about Chozo creative stuff, but I must be misremembering. So, yeah, that's one of the things. I'd like to study Chozo lore, but also you'd have to consider how much of this is Chozo religion, how much of it is genuinely real, how much of it actually goes back to the birth of the universe. Box of sticks! That's how I play Minecraft. I fill my inventory with sticks. And now that I have shulker boxes, I can also do boxes of sticks. gonna do, like, funky background details. Actually, that's more like it. And also, whether I'll, like, get into, like, deep-ass headcanons about Metroid, remains to be seen. I don't always go whole hog on storytelling like I do, especially because I've committed so much over the years in my brain to the shit I've made for Kirby and Pokemon, that doing too much more of anything else could explode my entire consciousness. I'm already deeply unwell about Zelda, and can't make fucking anything of that. Any sense of that. So. So. We'll see, we'll see. I'm going to increase the intensity of that blur. I mean, Frisk having poor vision would make sense, which is why they have a design with their eyes always closed. They're fucking squinting all the time so they can see shit at all. Actually, I think I want to make these stripes smaller, so that it's more like... you just ignore Nintendo's contradictory timeline. I am taking elements from the timeline, because you can't really escape it, because it's been fan theory for fuck ever. But, yeah. But there's a lot of things that you have to, like, consider about that. And there's some... shit? There's, like, some lore in just supplementary materials about Zelda that's kind of upsetting and, like, casts certain events in the game in a different light. And grappling with those is going to be very interesting, and by interesting, I mean, oh god, here we go. Yapped a lot, didn't you? Nah, it's fine. We're all yapping tonight. It's a yapping kind of night. Let's do this, like, slightly less blur on the opposite edge. Yeah, slightly less blur on the opposite edge. I kind of like that. Kind of like it. It's kind of an uninteresting loop. That's more like it. Turn you way down in thickness. Even thinner than that. Thinner than that. 2.5 is thin enough. Show me the grid, fools! View. Grid. Ruler bar. Grid settings, please. My settings are on my other monitor. I think Frisk had pretty short hair. After the passive ascending, Frisk hair grows longer, but they don't want to cut it since their hair holds memories. Aw, that's really sweet. Okay. Graphic design is my passion. I don't want the grid to be that tight. I actually don't want it to go down that low either. We love us a happy ending. I don't know where I was going with this. Slightly thicker line there, I guess. Good night. Polygon. Number of corners, 4. Adjust angle after fixed, yes please. I mean, I can imagine. Flowey's been through some shit. He's the soulless husk of a... tormented soulless husk of a child. Of course he's gonna be having a bad time. Not really much you can do about that, unfortunately. Do this... Nah, yes. I wanted the, like, pale... Kind of liking that. This can go, though. You ditch that. Who are you drawing? I am making up a character as I go along. This is just a guy I did. And now I'm just fucking around with the possibilities of a background because I think it's neat. Oh, thank you. I like making up dudes. Actually, what if I, like, focused on doing, like, streaks of darker gold inside the smoke rather than just big swaths of it? So really like your model? Thank you! I also made that! A while ago. I bet my Live 2D skills are rusty as fuck. Nothing I couldn't relearn. It would just be a pain in the ass. It's always a pain in the ass to relearn something you learn how to do on the fly and then forget any tips on how to make a VTuber model. Have a distinct art style, I would emphasize. The thing you want to do is you kind of have to make it like a paper doll. So, like, you'll have to chop it up into pieces, and then you'll have to have, like, stuff that would originally get covered up in, like, a basic 2D drawing has the potential to become visible, as your character turns. Also, it's good to, like, have basic drawing knowledge of your character in 3D space. So, like, do sketches of them from different angles so you know what you're dealing with. I have a very, very, very small background. No, I wouldn't say background. I took a couple classes in college of 3D modeling. So I already have, like, knowledge of how the human body moves, knowledge about how rigs in general animate, knowledge of perspective, is going to be very helpful in determining, because then you can just kind of eyeball, you can just eyeball it for the keyframes. So, like, if I'm turning my head back and forth, I will, like, establish a keyframe and then morph. So the way Live 2D works is that, and I'm sure this is probably also true of other puppet animation software, but, it works with keyframes, and it works with, like, the skeleton of your rig is going to be 2D sprites, kind of like a sprite sheet, and all of those pieces are going to sit on top of each other. Like, for example, my hair is a separate piece. One of the things I've mentioned is that sometimes if I swing my head like this, because my bangs have physics attached to them. So if I swing my head, you can kind of see, like, my bald scalp on, like, the far edge of my head, because like, my head is a whole piece, and I haven't done any edits to make it look more natural. I just haven't gotten around to it, because I never get around to anything. I'll put a fuck ton of effort into some really nice shit, and then never work on it for ages and ages. Yeah, it's pivot points. It's like, if you've done, like, puppet animation in Adobe After Effects, it's kind of like that, except it's more like a grid, so you can move individual points on that grid. Or you can, like, scale and squash and skew the whole sprite. And so you set that keyframe, and then you squash all of, like, I would have, like, a keyframe, and there is, like, a meter, like, it's like a slider that goes from, there's a keyframe in the middle that's I am looking straight ahead, there's a keyframe for when I'm looking all the way this way, there's another keyframe for me looking in the opposite direction. And you can mirror keyframes. Live 2D has this nice symmetry effect where it kind of does certain things for you, so it will exactly mirror to back and forth. So if I, like, have a keyframe facing this way, I can have the opposite effect for, like, my head, my eyes, my mouth, my nose, applied to that. My little headphone crest thingies. Each part of my hair I had to do individually because it's asymmetrical, but that's a really helpful tool so that it's like if you had symmetrical parts, Live 2D has tools to help you with that. Up and down. Yeah, okay, so keyframes, it's less pivot point and more sliders. So you have a slide, you like squish everything into the shape of looking one direction, and then you have your slider say, I am looking in this direction, and then you have it for the opposite, and then you have another slider for up and down, and then, Live 2D lets you stack sliders together, so, that's why I can look, like, diagonally as well, because the sliders I have like the side to side and up and down sliders are stacked together, and they also have a system where you can, there's corner keyframes, so it'll look like a little 2D grid, where it has, like, straight up in the middle top, straight down in the middle bottom, straight ahead in the middle, it's like, think D&D alignment grid. How to make a rig for the mouth, example, smile. There's a whole, that was actually one of the tougher parts. What's interesting, I had the best luck. So, I think my basic rig, I can actually pop it open. I think I've shown it, on stream, just, like, popping it around so I could grab it for color picking, because I was working on thumbnails with pictures of my face in it. There it is. Open. There we go. This is my VTuber model. And you can kind of see where the layers get a little funky. The lines up and down, those are symmetry models. I just did that to make my drawing easier. So you can see how my teeth look. And I have my teeth there. You can, like, see how there's, like, blobs of skin on either side of my mouth. You can see how my mouth is a straight line. There are actually 2 black lines stacked on top of each other, and each one is has a blob of skin color either on the top or on the bottom. And, so the way you can, like, skew that, like, make the default existence, I drag, like, the way it's sprayed, you get, like, the little grid, and it lets you deform that. And so I would take individual, like, points along the rig of the sprite, and I would drag the skin out to cover my teeth and mouth. So I have, a couple different sprites. I have, like, the interior of my mouth, and then on top of that, I have my tongue, and then on top of that, I have my teeth, and then on top of that, I have my lips. And so my tongue and teeth can animate independently. It's not super complicated. I have, like, a and that can, like, move my teeth out of the way when I don't want them seen, or I can make a so I have, like, my teeth together in a smile. The software I use is called VTube Studio. I believe it's actually free on Steam, and then, like, the nicer features are another $5. I do not have an ombre at the tip of my bangs because I'm trying to stick to mostly flat colors in my design, and also, like, I don't have one in real life, as cute as that would be. Maybe as an option, as some other option someday, but that's fine. So where's my face? There's my face. That's my glasses. Mouth. Is that all the mouth? Yes. I have a lot of layers. You're gonna want to name the shit out of your layers. You can't see them because I don't have my, screen set up to show you at the moment. But, lip, teeth, tongue. And the mouth is just this blob. And then I put the tongue on top of that. And then I have the teeth on top of that. And, yeah. So you drag, yeah, mouth stuff. And then there is... So the tutorial I followed, like, you can look up how to rig a mouth in Live 2D, and there'll be a fuck ton of resources from other VTubers. What was the chick I used her tutorials a lot? I cannot remember her name for the life of me. But her avatar is peach-themed, and I think she's Filipina. Hang on. VTuber mouth tutorial? What is your name? Hang on. Oop, there she is. Her name is Kira Omori. The video is 3 years old. It worked really well. I'm gonna add a stream marker. Stream marker added. I'm gonna add like a video card around here. And her tutorials were super helpful because I was watching her and I like saw her model and I was like, wow, her model looks really cute, and I also really like the way her mouth moved. And I was like, wow, that's really detailed mouth movement for a VTuber, because I had only, the only experience I had, because I don't actively watch a whole bunch of other VTubers, I just decided it was the right format for me as a streamer, and I like the idea, I like being able to draw my own shit. And, yeah. So, the only experience I had seen before that was, Gargura. Cause my friend was really into VTubers, and she was her favorite. And her mouth movements were not very detailed, and I think this is because she was running on an old model, and then, I'm almost certain, because she's an agency girl, so I absolutely imagine they've updated her model to have more complex mouth movements. I think I said a long-ass time ago in one of my old videos, like, I have better mouth movements than Gargura now, but that was probably also not true at the time, because it had been ages since I last watched her. I had probably watched some of her old shit, and, like, who knows? Who fucking knows how long it took them to update that? But also, like, if she wants to use her old-ass model, that's her prerogative. She can just have a model that goes, ow, 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 and it's fine. Like, it's cute. She has more shading than me. She beats me in that department. And I also picked really, really flat colors on purpose. One, because that's how my art style often looks, as you can see by the thing that I've been drawing today. But also because without as much shading, I had more freedom to... I had less to rig, basically, because I did all my shit in the free version of Lewd. I don't know if you can see it. I think I did it so that you can't really see it, but this version of my model that is animated, right now, it's only half. It is cut off at the hips. I have like a square of black representing maybe pants if I drag up a little bit. It is cut off at the wrists. I have no hands attached to this. I am a floating torso. And that's because I use the free version of Lewd, which has a limited amount of sprite space. And so I did that optimization with the intent of like, maybe I'll buy it later and use Ibis Paint. Yeah, any kind of like free software, even pen and paper, is a great idea. Start with the character design. Symmetry rulers will be your friend for everything symmetrical that you need. Clip Studio has symmetry rulers. I imagine plenty of free shit has symmetry rulers as well. That helped for, keeping my assets, like my torso, my arms, my face, symmetrical, and I could, it speeds along the process, because I was, like, just raw-dogging the process. I had never touched Lewd before. I had, done a couple classes in 3D modeling and animation. I had done, like, a sort of, I don't know, it was, like, kind of a touchy-feely, it wasn't, like, an animation class. It was, like, an animation elective that was sort of, like, the very basics of 2D animation, and there was one unit where we did a puppet animation in, Adobe After Effects, and that kind of After Effects-based puppet animation helped provide, like, the basic logical framework in my brain for learning Lewd better. So I could jump into that pretty, easily. So, yeah, you can doodle your models, come up with character designs, like, sketch a bunch of faces. Yeah. A lot of VTubing, like, model shit is mostly... everything is squash and stretch. Like, you just pull you just deform individual assets and make sure the assets cover the right thing. Like, I have this nose thing, and I know there are better ways to go about it. There's probably a tutorial I could follow, but there are just, like, strips of skin color that just cover, the line art of my nose, so that different parts of it show depending on which way it's facing, and I, like, make it uncover. And then, like, Live 2D lets you slide your sliders back and forth so you can constantly reference and add new keyframes as possible. And, yeah. TV face is really gonna be really easy. I don't have, like, I could hypothetically make way more faces with this specific model. I just, I haven't set up any hotkeys. Hypothetically, I could flap my little wings, with, like, a scroll bar, but I haven't set that up. I could make angry faces, like these eyes, my irises can shrink and grow for, like, shocked expressions. I have different eyebrow positions that aren't really shown, in this model. This is, like, the neutral, happy expression. I'd like to increase the complexity of this model in the future, but also, there are many things I would like to do. There's so many things I like to do, and I'm always trying to do some of them all of the time. Ooh! Life is an ever-onward, eternal march of finding new things to do and wanting to do them, and not really knowing where to start, or end, or begin, or all that shit. Plans on someone making a model with arm rigging too. So, arm rigging is possible. You have to consider a software that allows that to happen. And some of that, like, some of those shenanigans require more hardware. Like, you might need, like, mocap sleeves or something. And I would love to do something like that eventually too, because hypothetically my shoulders are also, like, I've made separate sprites for them, so they could articulate if I really wanted to. I just haven't done it. VTube Studio, in its most basic form, I haven't, like, set it up to, it's just, like, my iPhone camera and the app hooked up to the desktop version of the app. And out of the box, VTube Studio does a really good job of just capturing your face. It, like, grabs your eyebrows, it grabs your eye blinks, it follows your mouth movements really well, and all of the settings can be tweaked, of course. You can, like, you can tweak that until the motions of your face, produce the motions in your model that you want. And I've reached, I was working really hard, but I'd also reached a point where I was like, I want to start streaming sooner rather than later, and I will allow myself to use a stripped back version of my model so I can get started sooner. And I started streaming, and now I'm, like, several years into the process and I haven't updated my model because it's fit for purpose and it does its job well. And so, that's kind of where it could be with pivot points, right? Pivot points. I need to look what that is. What is a pivot point? I can't think of it. Like, it sounds familiar, and it sounds like something that I used in, Adobe at one point. Yeah, you will have pivot points. Like, I have pivot points on, like, I have a, like, but those will be keyframes, and keyframes allow for squishing, but they also allow for rotation and scaling. So, yeah, like, I think, depending on, I think you can see my shoulders move a little bit when I, like, go up and down, because there's a little bit of, like, body movement tied in there. And yeah, absolutely, it's pivot points, but there's more, like, scaling and skewing and transformation involved to make it look more realistic. So, like, yeah, you can have your neck pivot on your head. Yeah. There's a pivot point on the little doohickey I have on my headphones. That's the little ribbon, and that there's a rotation keyframe, and it also deforms a little bit, so it like flops, and that is physics based. And Live 2D has physics things where you can put that like, and you can like apply those keyframes to physics. So it's like, oh yeah, this operates with physics. My wings have a neat little animation where if I like open and close them, I can't show you because I don't have it set it up, but I did make sure to animate it so that when it's like if I did have a setup to scroll them and they opened and closed, the individual like panels of them would kind of separate and sort of drag behind, and I think that would be cool, and that's why I had that set up. I don't think I have that set up for my little crests, but I don't think I decided I needed to. Oh yeah. Yeah, technically, Live 2D is like pivot points on steroids because of it. You can do more with it. Like, you can also just drag things around and set those to keyframes. You do have to have that knowledge of keyframing, and the keyframing I figured out I picked that up from 3D modeling classes and from puppet animation in Adobe After Effects, because you will do a thing and you set a keyframe, and then you move it into a different position and you set a keyframe, and then it will most software will interpolate between them. Live 2D does the same, except the idea with Live 2D sliders is that instead of animating from one point to another in a linear thing for a don't worry about not talking. You've sent me on a tangent and now I can't shut up. Man, immediately my brain just farts out. But, they're not linearly, they're based on which pose you would take, as opposed to what point in time is, because other keyframing is designed for, an animation, like a one to beginning to end movies, or, do you have ADHD? Oh, absolutely. It's practically a requirement to be a content creator at this point. We all fucking have it. It's part of the process of being obsessed with every art form you come across. Do I want those flowers, or do I want to pick a different one? Natural. Crack. Vegetation. Pine needles, nature fuzz. I think I might go back to the, I think I might do, yeah, that's its own thing. First of all, okay, so it's a particle. I need to do big particles. Maybe it's a little too big. I'm gonna like particle size. I'm going to remove the I'm not going to remove the randomness. I'm going to increase the minimum value so that it's not like single pixel little dudes. So maybe not that much. Beep bop boop ba da bop beep. And then, over that, I want to do a gradient map. What is a new layer? No. How do I can't remember how to do a gradient map. How do I do that again? Okay, oh, there it is. Cancel. I had a thing over there. Lippy. Perfect. That's blur. Correction. Gradient map. There you are. Beep ba da doo ba da da dee dee doo dee dee doo. I want to do sepia. Hang on. I think I'm gonna make a new gradient real quick. Na 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 na. Beep beep. Okay, so middle, bop, light, at. You gotta go. Thanks for hanging. Thanks for yapping with me. See ya whenever I decide to stream again. Thank you for hanging, Nova. Pronounced it weird, but that's okay. La 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 la. Ba 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 da ba da ba. Nope, I wanted new gold. Could do that more. Do I have anything that can just draw, like, weird, gross tree branches for me? Am I gonna have to do it myself? Spray a ginkgo leaves along the bottom. I'm gonna need lower particle density than that, sir. I put it under this. I think I might do gradient mapped cherry blossoms, cherry petals instead. drew this on the wrong layer. Fuck. I should keep this as an adoptable character design, or make it a print. Both of those options could work. I'm doing a combination of like abstract, like smoke, foliage, and like weird abstract, like graphic design bullshit. Skipping ahead, the playlist. La, 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 la. Yeah, the more I add to this compositionally, the more I think it might do better as a print. You just hang this funky dude on your wall. Turn down the stabilization, I think. think I'm gonna call that a night. I went a little bit ham on the background when I didn't need to. Had a little too much fun. But I think I'm happy with the result. I'm pleased with the outcome. I think it's neat. And, I'm gonna call it for now. It could use a couple more embellishments, but also I think it looks pretty fine. So, I will see y'all some other time. Thank you for joining me tonight. I hope you had a good time. I will see you all next time. It's been fun. Goodbye.